Hello and welcome to another episode of the Contractor Grow Show. My name is Mark. I'm your host, and today I have the pleasure of speaking with Alex Post, who is the VP of Commercial Construction at Nastase Contracting in Omaha. Alex, thanks for being with us today.
Yeah, no problem. Excited to be here.
Yeah, fantastic, my man. Cool. Well, it looks like you guys are doing some really cool stuff over here in Omaha. Maybe you could tell us a little bit about the history of the company, what you guys are up to right now.
Yeah, so just a quick minute history. The company was started in 1977 by one of my partner's fathers, and he ended up buying the company out in about 2016, 17 from his dad. They did a lot of residential exterior construction. They were doing interior construction, bathrooms, basements, kitchens, that sort of thing.
Mm.
Um, and Nick bought it from his dad, Jerry. And Nick kind of had a dream to get it a little bit bigger or grow it bigger. Uh, it, and over the last, I've been here well, technically working here about 5 years, 4 years if COVID was kind of pushed it to
Uh-huh.
make a change. And we so there's three of us that own it now. Nick is still majority owner, and then there's Chuck Hall and me also that are minority owners in the business. So the company's always focused on residential exteriors, insurance work, that sort of thing, restoration. That was always the bread and butter. I have a general contracting background in commercial. I was working for a GC at the time, um, and in 2020, thought I was going to get laid off because we did pretty much all interior office build outs. And when everything got shut down, we weren't allowed to do any construction in any of those also.
Huh.
So I so Chuck has been my best friend since kindergarten.
Uh-huh.
He's been the best man at my wedding. We've known each other since we were 4 years old, essentially. And Nick Nastase is his brother-in-law, and he's 7 years older than us, and he had started dating his sister when they were in like sophomores in high school. So um, pretty much known Nick all my life. And so I called them. They were the first call I made, and I was like, yeah, I think Chuck and I talked all the time, being really good friends and stuff. And he was running the books for Nick and doing kind of financial strategy. And he came over in 2018, I think. Um, and kind of voiced my concerns. And I was like, yeah, I think I'm gonna get laid off because of COVID, and I'm not really sure what's gonna happen. I kind of had a new house, and so it started with, well, why don't you come help us do decks and stuff like that? Like put my tool belt on and go. And I was like, okay, that's fine. And I wasn't used to doing that. I was doing a lot of project management, and then at that time we about an hour later, we had the grand idea of starting to bid commercial general contracting work, um, like apartments, multifamily, lots of that type of stuff. So we called it residential style commercial construction. So it was just on a
Hmm.
larger scale.
Okay.
So from that March of 20 till I would say April of 21, I was doing two jobs and my normal job. And we were then at night, I would stay up till about midnight doing takeoffs and trying to get this thing going. And it was really just a way to make extra money. At that time, I had a new baby, I
Hmm.
had a new house, I had all that. And the company I was working for before, we were mandatory paid decreases and stuff like that because of COVID. And I got lucky because we never missed a paycheck or anything like that. But it got scary there for a minute. So it was just started as like a side gig, bidding stuff. And then that first year of 2020 to 2021, we bid about $30 million worth of work. Um, and we got zero of it.
Oh no. Oh
And
man.
it was probably the best thing that could have happened, honestly, because if we would have been just started awarded, if we were just got awarded projects, we would have probably been in a world of hurt. We kind of, when I was doing the estimating on it, we would put a bid in and then just try to get feedback and really tighten our numbers down. And so after about a year of doing that, um, we all had lunch together one day and they're like, do you want to make this a full-time thing? And I was like, well, I think we should get a project first before we actually do something here,
Right.
like a big one. And I remember sitting there and Nick was like, I think the reason we're not getting projects is because we're not all in. And so um, my son was born on March 15th. And on April 1st, I started here on a brand new adventure. And it was quite the transition in that from we started to win the work, and just like that, it kind of was off and running on the commercial side of things. We thought we were going to be a commercial roofer, doing apartments and stuff like that, and slowly figured out that, not slowly, probably rather quickly, that our specialties was more in the wall systems. So James Hardy siding, metal wall panels, LP, smart side. The first or second bid that we put in, I went and got feedback from the general contractor, and I was like, "Yeah, where did our bids stand?" And they're like, "Oh, you were fourth on the roofing side." And I was like, "Oh, okay." I was like, "Fourth out of how many?" And he was like, 17. And I was like, "You
Huh.
had 17 bidders on this?" And he was like, "Yep, sure did." And I was like, "Well, where did my siding number land out?" And he's like, "Oh, well, you were second on siding." And I was like, "Oh, well, how many siding bids were there?" And he was like, 3. And I was like, "Oh, okay, well, we're gonna be siding.
Right.
Let's get, let's." So we quickly made the move to try to, you cut your competition in, fifth essentially,
Uh-huh.
and we found it was, it's not as quick hitter of projects. Roofing, you can go in and do large scale stuff that, for a month and get paid for it rather quickly, and siding takes a little bit longer. And so that's probably why there's not a lot, and there's a little bit more barriers to entry, and products a little bit more expensive, and all that, and the projects take longer. But in the end, it seemed like it was a better move for us. And then we just started winning projects in 2021 and 2022, and things got off and running, and we are it grew larger and faster than we ever thought. And just it's been a lot of fun growing it. We're nowhere near being done. About 2 years into it, so in 2023, 2022, 2020, late 2022, we one of our competitors came up for sale, and against all advice from anyone, we decided to buy them.
No way. I love it.
And yeah, so that's a whole nother story. But they joined, and they had contracts was the big thing, and they had um, combined probably 200 years worth of, 5 guys had, you know they had years upon years of experience in wall systems. We were doing fine getting the projects. It was getting through the projects what was our hard part. It was quality control. It was everything that involved the actual installation. So we knew we needed help, and this was kind of just dumb luck. And we ended up purchasing that company, bought all their assets and their contracts, and it came with about 5 managers, and then an install crew or 3 managers really, and then an install crew of 5. And
Okay.
so 8 guys that came with us, and three of the managers, they very high end install everything that goes with it. And then coincidentally this year, the man that we purchased the business from, he was off doing some other ventures, and they weren't quite, he wanted to go build some custom homes and stuff like that, and it wasn't quite going the way he wanted. And I was like, do you want to get back into siding business. And he actually, the guy that we purchased the company from, is working full time helping me run the general contracting or the commercial side of things. So
That is
kind of
awesome.
a ridiculous thing. And it's probably the proudest moment of, I guess, our career was, or my career is we discussed this. All right, it's going to cost us a bunch of money. We're going to put our house, we're going to put mortgages, second mortgages on all of our homes, all this stuff to pay for it. We're sitting around the table at the signing to get a loan, and all of our wives are there and our banker's there, and he's just like, "Are you guys sure?" Like, sure you want to do this? And our wives are all just like rolling their eyes, like, "This is the dumbest thing I've ever been a part of," but you need our signatures. So we did it and it worked out, and it's kind of crazy. But a proudest part of my moment, or a proudest moment in my career so far, has been those guys made a promise unannounced to us, was to the guy that we bought the company from, that they would stay a year, so that it would, a minimum of a year, but after a year they wouldn't. They would make their own decisions if it was a good fit or not or anything like that. And every single one of those people that we purchased, or yeah, every single person that was on that company that we purchased is still working for us today. So we created an
Dude,
environment that all those,
amazing.
yeah, it's amazing. And they're a vital part of where our business has gone. And yeah, we're doing about 5x what we were doing in 2020 and 2021. Next year could be, we could be 10x really easily, at least 6, 7. Um, and we're doing it profitably too, which is the amazing thing. Every time, previously it was the business before was always just, it paid for the wages, it paid for if there was a little bit of profit at the end of the year, it was great. But now we've really kind of turned the business up on its head, and it's been really fun to do and build it with two of my best friends, and then a group of guys that I've never met before, and then really close. We work with them every single day. Two of them, we share a 12 by 15 office right now. So there's three of us in a little office, but there's a lot of collaboration that goes on in that room, and it's all better for it and smarter for it. So yeah, COVID kind of pushed me into this. I always thought I maybe wanted to have my own business, but I was making good money at a general contractor. It was low stress. It was, everything, but you knew there was just something missing. And then we made the jump, and it's been now the first 2 years that we did it. I think I averaged about 2 hours a night in sleep. A lot of worrying, a lot of, yeah, your mind just goes, and it's
Oh man.
you think about all the stuff that has to happen, and just out of your control too, and you're like, man, what happens if this goes up in flames? Where do I go?
Yeah, yeah, right.
But
And it
fortunately it's really worked out, and we're on year almost 4 of having these guys, or well, year 3 really of having these guys on our team, and we've accomplished way more than what we set out to do, and we're really, really striving to do more and more. So it's been fun, but we're still small enough that every time we get a contract signed, we get to celebrate it a little bit and high five, and
that
we
is
finish a
awesome.
project, and it's just great and it's fun. So, but
Amazing, Alex. So I love this strategy of sort of growth by acquisition. That is just
yeah,
such an interesting way to grow a company, because you can sort of kind of, it's like a quantum leap, right?
yeah.
And it happens at many different levels. You get, a whole new set of customers, but this also acquisition of talent. So since you acquired this other company,
hmm
you guys have grown multiple X, multiple sizes larger since then.
Yeah,
And it's been directly responsible for that, correct?
right. Well, we were winning right before we purchased them, we were winning contracts, and it got to a point where we're like, we don't have enough people, we don't have enough management, we don't have enough experience running these big things. We need to make a decision on what to do, and we need to do it very quickly. We thought maybe we were going to have to go, find a guy, pay him a really high salary, to help us come and project manage and run these type of projects that somebody that had experience doing that. Um, like I said, it was just kind of dumb luck. One of our suppliers that we both bought from came to us and was like, "Hey, I don't know if you guys know, but this other company is for sale, and I kind of wanted to bring it to you." And it was so we did. We just kind of had a conversation over breakfast one day, and one thing led to another, and it was. But then the best part about it was it raised our level of quality and quality assurance and confidence too, when we're going after bidding projects, to larger heights. Where previously, when it was just me bidding, or just me and a guy bidding projects, we were always like, yeah, we'll do this, but I don't know who's going to do the work. We'll figure it out if we win the project. Well, now it's like, all right, we want to win this project because we know exactly who we want to put on this and who's going to run it and who's going to run it really well. So, in the beginning, it was a little bit of smoke and mirrors, but now it feels like, I always tell, I'm a big sports analogy person. So, I always tell, when I'm trying to sell our company, I believe that we have the best starting five. If you take our 5 core group, in the area, for sure. We have just really good guys that are very knowledgeable. They're very level-headed. In construction, things can get heated sometimes, and never once do we have people that really raise voices or anything like that. We just deal with the problems head on, and that was always coming from the general contracting world. I was like, all right, now I'm going to be a subcontractor. The way I want to run this business is I want to be easy to work with. And then if that maybe that first round of contracts, we're not going to really make that much money. We're figuring it out, but we're going to wow them with our service and attending the meetings and doing things right and just doing the right way, communication. And I've always stuck with that. And that's kind of that is how we've built it so far, and just reoccurring contracts and reoccurring general contractors. But it's no secret, we've gotten better at what we've done too, and more confident. And so on the front end of things, but we're confident in our ability to perform them too. So it's been, yeah, it's really that quantum leap is I think we would have got to the point where we're at right now, but it would have taken probably 5 to 6 years, 5 to 7 years. And then when you acquire those guys, it was just like, all right, you instantly have that knowledge that can help. And
Wow.
it's been a match, and it's been really fun. It's been really fun to get to know these guys and everything too. So, but
Amazing. So, man, I mean, you're a young guy and you're smart as hell. You've got a lot of interesting stuff to say about this. I mean, how did you? I assume you haven't acquired too many companies in the past.
no.
When you and the guys got together, and your wives and your team got together
Yeah.
and said, we're thinking about doing this,
hmm
who did you consult with and talk to?
Yeah.
And what I'm getting at here is, I mean, if someone else is thinking about, we've got our concrete company, we want to acquire a painting
hmm
company right next to us, a related service or something that's going to work well for
Yep.
their business, and they're thinking about buying a local company. I mean, how did you learn more about the process, and how did you get some advice on how not to lose your
Yeah.
ass on this whole thing?
Yeah. So Chuck, the other partner in our business, he has an MBA. He's been in finance. He's worked for one of the top 5 largest general contractors in the country, doing accounting for them and stuff like that. And he's always had a entrepreneurial spirit. And this is kind of what he's always wanted to do. So he's a big nerd when it comes to this stuff. He wants to, acquiring businesses and doing all this stuff. And at that time, it was silly. We didn't have money to do that. We had credit cards maxed out. We had truck loans. We had,
Mm.
we had lines of credit extended. We had all this stuff. I mean, it was by all means, it was not smart. I remember he went on a construction business, like almost like a podcast type thing, and was like, said this story, and he was like, this is what I want to do. And the guy was like, you're an idiot. You're not profitable. Why would you think buying this company will make you profitable? And he's like, I just got a gut feeling that things are turning, because we were winning contracts, we were doing stuff like that, but the money wasn't coming in yet. So we probably had $2 to $3 million worth of contracts that were signed, but in the commercial end of things, those don't really come to fruition until 24, 36 months out.
Mm.
And, so he consulted with some people. We consulted with our, our banking advisors, all that type of stuff. And, I remember our banker was like, yeah, I mean, you can do it and we'll extend you a small business loan to do it, but are you sure this is what you want to do? And honestly, it was kind of like a gut thing. And it was like almost, it wasn't that we were, dead by any means or anything like that, but it was like, it's something that we just felt that we had to do to try to leap us forward, into where we wanted to go. And, it was scary. It was honestly signing something that big but we knew what we had coming down the pipe. And, so we kind of consulted with him. He's got the business sense. He runs all the management. His title is vice president of finance and strategy. So that was a big thing in
Okay.
strategy. And he lays everything out. He knows the numbers. He's got, I do all the estimating, but I run try to get a second set of eyes on everything where we like, hey, does this make financial sense? This is what I was kind of thinking. He'll give his 2 cents. He by no means micromanages or anything like that. We're all in it together, but yeah, he felt strongly. It was like, this is something that we should do. This is an opportunity that I'm not sure that we could have otherwise. And it'll probably be the only company we ever buy, because when you think about it, yeah, and maybe not, but when you think about it, it's just like, if our competition goes away, it just means more people are winning that work and that sort of thing. But it got a giant, like I said, it just was a giant leap forward on it. But yeah, that's who we kind of consulted with. We sat down, we all three talked to each other. We're like, okay, here we go. Now, if we weren't all in now, we're all in, or we weren't all in before, we're all in now. So
Yeah, yeah.
it was, yeah. So, but fortunately, it's all worked out. The way we structured it is we saw what their contracts were, what the projected profits were on those contracts. And what we said was like, all right, we're going to buy this for X amount of dollars, but the contracts that they have should pay for this business. And then, so it's not about the contracts that we're signing right now, because those will essentially pay for it. It'll be about the reload after that. So if we can
Uh-huh.
continue to win the projects and have these guys on, um, that's when we'll see the big plus. So that was 2.5 years ago, and we're almost done with the final project that came with that, or 3 years ago almost. Final project that came with the acquisition, and we are still taking every dollar of profit from those jobs that were on there to pay off that loan, and it'll be done after that. So it just worked out just essentially perfectly what we thought. And but there wasn't a lot of there was a lot of consulting that went wrong, and with each other, and then trying to find outside sources to help and stuff like that. But everybody thought we were kind of nuts, but we had a gut feeling that it might work. And so at that point, it was like, all right, not a Hail Mary, but it was almost like all right, we need to do something to change the trajectory of this business. So, and that's kind of what we did. Um, and we were still doing bathrooms and kitchens, because we were a resident, like we were a residential exterior company, that had employees. And then the thought was always, we need winter work for our guys. There's not a lot of winter, so let's do some bathrooms, let's do some kitchens. And then it got to a point at the end of last year where we're saying the juice isn't worth the squeeze when it comes to um, the interiors business that we were doing. And we actually shut down that whole side of our business. We don't
Oh,
kind of discovered, if we have to go into someone's house, we have to go inside, we don't make money. And
oh,
it was
interesting.
very hard. And and I'm not saying that it was a very hard decision, but it was clear to see where the trajectory was going on the commercial end of things with the exteriors, where it needed to go, or where we wanted it to go. So that was a hard decision, because there was a lot of people there was 3 or 4 people that were, we had an interior designer on staff. We had a project manager. We had a carpenter. We had people that were dedicated to that side. And it was almost just kind of like a break even business that was just kind of plodding along, and it didn't,
Hmm.
it didn't make sense to keep it around as we were trying to grow it also, this other side. So yeah, some tough decisions that came and that sort of stuff at the end of last year, but yeah, so we're better off for it. We've, I think we're, as a company as a whole, we're just about 5x of what we were, 3 years ago. And that's with cutting out a whole section of our business that was revenue wise 50% of our business 3 years ago. So,
Wow.
yeah, so it was tough decisions, but it's been fun. It's hard, but it's rewarding at the same time. Let's put it that way. So,
Hmm.
yeah, and then so we're just solely focusing on our commercial or on our residential and commercial exterior side. So we have a team that is dedicated to restoration. So that's insurance game on the residential side, and also commercial properties. And then we have our commercial new construction side where we're bidding to a general contractor, and it's new apartment buildings, new office buildings, new anything like that. And so those are the two sides of our business now that we have: residential exteriors and commercial exteriors. And um, it's it's the right model for us going forward. We know that. So
Yeah, man, I saw here on your Facebook page just a big, serious, looks like multifamily construction. Is that like the banner at the top of your Facebook page? Is that what that is? Like a project you guys are building out?
let me look what it's on our Facebook page.
Yeah. It's kind of black and white with the
uh,
city there in the background.
it's hold on. Let's see here. Yeah, so that is one of the projects that came with the company we purchased. The cool part about that project is it's low income housing, and they redeveloped that whole area. It was Davis Bacon work, so that means it was prevailing wages. Um,
Hmm.
it had a bunch of different buildings and multicolors and all this type of stuff, and it was for a general contractor that we had never signed a contract with. And then now that general contractor has turned into about 20% to 25% of our commercial contracts now.
Wow.
So we really took that and ran with it. And it was a really nice learning experience, actually. I'll call it that. So yeah, that was a fun project to be on. And again, not that it wasn't with its challenges or anything like that, but it we always have it. We have one of our guys who is one of our project managers, foreman. He always says, "I'm not working for this paycheck. I'm working for my next paycheck." And we always take that and we always think about that as like, well, yeah, we've got this contract for this project here, but it's not about this contract. It's about the next one that we can get.
Uh-huh.
So
Interesting. Okay.
I always stress that to our managers, where we always have no matter what conversation you're at, and none of my guys are sales guys, right? They're
Uh-huh.
construction guys. They're very to the point. Um, they're not going to go out there and smooth talk you or anything like that. But in commercial world, that's fine. But I always say you need to leave every conversation better than we had it, or when you walked in, and that's the sales portion of that. So
Hmm.
always, if there's a problem, make sure it's solved before you leave, or make a plan to solve that problem, and just always be able to communicate and sell. Every conversation we have is selling ourselves. So, and this has happened on multiple projects where, us and our competition are very close on numbers, and they get to, the final person that gets to make that decision is the on-site project manager for a lot of these general contractors. And they're like, "Hey, would you rather work for this company, or would you rather have this company doing your siding, or Nastase doing it?" And because the numbers are so close, you just choose. And he's like, "Well, I want Nastase. I like working with these guys better." And it's like, that's the conversations that we want to have. Is like, all right, numbers are close. They'll give us the benefit, and they like working with us. So that's kind of how we want to build it, or how we have built it, and how we want to continue kind of going about it too. So, but yeah, we've done some really cool projects. That's one of them. We've got uh, we got a 9-story building that we're doing right now that has a bunch of metal panel on it. Had to
Wow.
buy 125-foot aerial lifts to do it. So I've got
Amazing.
12 to 15 guys down there installing at any time. 125 feet in the air. Previously the highest job we had was 85 feet, and that was just on the one little portion. So we ended up having to make a rather large investment in buying two giant lifts to service that project. It was the largest, well, that or at that time I think it was the largest contract that we signed. Um, it was quite scary because it was a lot of stuff that we weren't quite confident in how it was going to go on. But it's been a giant learning experience, and it's been a lot of fun on that one.
That's
And
wild.
it's right in the heart of Omaha where everybody can see it, and it's been
Oh man, how
that's with
awesome.
that same contractor that we were doing that project on our Facebook with. So
That's so cool.
yeah, so
Well, so one thing that listeners struggle with, some, contractors, these days in the trades, it's hard to find guys that are motivated, that want to learn your way of doing it, and that stay around, that you
yeah.
can retain. And I mean,
Mhm.
with you guys, with this acquisition that you had, was a key part of your business. It was even like doubly and triply important because probably the acquisition and the cost that you guys paid wouldn't have made sense if everybody did leave after a year.
Yeah.
But now that they've stayed on, it works at a whole
Mhm.
different level, and that's kind of really what that was a key part of you guys' investment in that.
Yeah.
So I mean, with all of that, what is? It sounds like you're great at retaining team and really creating culture that
Yeah.
works. What's your secret?
um, I don't, honestly, I don't know. It's just being ourselves,
Uh-huh.
honestly.
Uh-huh.
Uh, we're not, it is I kind of take the same approach to our employees and management and run a business like I do when I'm going in to we're on a job with a general contractor. I'm not going to be a pushover, but I'm going to be easy to work with, right? And if uh,
Right.
yeah, so that doesn't mean that the general contractor can just be like, "Hey, I need you to do something," and I'm just going to jump and do it for free or anything like that. But yeah, or be taken advantage of or anything like that. But when it comes to our employees, we have we just have high end guys with high end motors that are you got to tell them to go home at night, and it's just a complete opposite of kind of where we were 4 or 5 years ago, or where I came from, different general contractors, where it was just like, you're working for a company with 2,000 employees, and you go in and you do your 8 hours and you go home and you don't even worry about it and you shut up. Well,
Mm.
these guys, they really care about what the product is. The uh, they see the work that goes into it. Um, and all three of us we're in the fight with them too. It's not like we're in some C-suite where
Mm.
we're looking, and they're running, we're looking down and taking vacations, and we're in the fight with them. I mean, I'm only
Uh-huh.
36 years old. I'm in here, every day working with them hand in hand. I think they appreciate that. Same thing with Chuck and Nick, and it's kind of like a lead by example type thing. But everybody has their role here, and everybody's kind of fell into that the right mold. Now, the biggest complaint I get with some of my guys is I don't know what my job is, and I say, "Well, you guys are Swiss Army knives." I was like, "You're good at everything." I was like, "So
Huh.
that's the hard part." One day might be doing estimating, the next day um, you're going to be project managing, and hey, if I need to go do some quality control, I'm going to send you out there and do some of that.
Keep it
And
interesting for them, huh?
it can get frustrating for some of them, and I get it. And that's part of our growing pains too, where
Mm.
we're not a company with 2,000 employees or 500 employees where you are going to focus on estimating and you don't leave your chair. It's like, no, we're all in this together and we're kind of growing it.
Mm.
And we're not kind of, we are growing it. And everybody can kind of see that. And like we just just got a notice to proceed on a project that we had been working on for 2 months today, and like we all high fived and had a good, we're like, all right, let's go. Like we're excited about it, and everybody feels that. And, and in the end, we've set up, so compensation for those guys too is the company does better. They do better. It's not, we're an open book when it comes to the financial ends of things, especially for those guys. And, we want to in what they've helped us build too. So,
Hmm.
uh, but the culture, I pride ourselves on being easy to work with, and that's not just, contractor to subcontractor. That's also, owner to employees. And
Hmm.
but we don't get taken advantage of either. So
Sure.
there's a fine line there. But that's how we've kind of created a culture. And now, is everything perfect every single day? No, it's not. And we're
Yeah,
still
yeah.
going through those pains and everything. You're just not going to do that when you're not going to not have growing pains when you're growing kind of as fast as we did. And we're still kind of figuring out day to day. We're getting smarter day to day. We're figuring out better ways of doing things. And everybody's a part of it though. So it's been fun. So
That's fantastic. Fantastic, Alex. Well, thank you so much for jumping on here and sharing the
yeah,
story of Nastase.
yeah.
Over in Omaha. If folks want to get in touch, what's the best way to reach you guys?
Yeah, so go ahead and you can call the office. That would be because I call the office so much.
You got to look up the number, huh?
Yeah, I do. 402 or you can always email me directly. It's just Alex, Alex, at nciomaha.com. And I can always get you directed to, if you have a residential re-roof or a re-side or any problems with your existing commercial or residential building, we can always help out. And then on the general contracting side, got a big project, you're an owner, you're a developer, you're anybody that needs budgeting, architects. We talk with architects all the time on different budgeting for different products and projects like that. That's how feel free to give us a call or shoot us an email. We're happily love doing those budgets because we figure it always gives us a leg up on the end of a project too. So when it does come time for final bids and stuff. So, but
That is
yeah,
awesome. I think
yeah.
Alex and his team are a company to watch in Omaha, guys. Uh, these guys have got a lot of
Yeah.
really cool stuff figured out. They've built a great team, a great business in a short period of time.
Yep.
There's some really interesting ways. So, Alex, thank you so much for being on the show, man. It's been really fun.
All right. Thank you so much.